So for the last 50 minutes, we would like to discuss a little bit what will come for the next workshop. As you know, this is the first part of a two-part workshop. And we when proposed this, our idea was that this workshop will trigger a lot of interactions between broker science collaborations and asking yourself questions. So I will name some of the stuff we thought will happen. I would like to hear from you what you would like to see, and if you will be willing maybe to answer a survey for this, because I think it's a lot of information. So one of the things that we wanted was, of course, updates of what happens between now and then, not the same presentation, but something what's new. We thought about having tutorials from the different broker teams. And a question here is whether we want or not tutorials and which type would it be, science cases, a general tutorial. But we also wanted to know if you want to create task forces and report in the next workshop or create benchmarks that we have discussed thoroughly here. So I guess the first part is there something we haven't mentioned here? And the second part is, would you be happy to answer a survey to decide this? I guess the survey question, we can click on the right side of the, when you see a participant list, yes and no, and that's easy. For the other things, I want to hear from you. What do you have in mind that will be useful for you after this workshop? It's in 4 to 6 months, so early 2021.
And I also, if you I'm writing the list you mentioned, and I can also do a poll at the end. So perhaps that's easier than the yes and no. I don't know.
Okay, something I haven't mentioned first. No? So let's start with benchmarks. Are you interested in creating benchmarks? And if so, do you want to set up a group here or a task force, or this will be something more organic that we will figure out from here to there? This is a tough one. Okay, I shouldn't have started with this one. What type of tutorials do you want? Maybe that's the easiest one to answer.
Anyone?
I'm going to sort of not answer the question, but talk about a related thing. This one was about bringing science collaborations and talking through the cases, brokers together, and we did a bit of that at the project community workshop. Is 6 months from now an appropriate time to not just talk to the science collaborations, but actually have a goal of signing up 10 new users, for example, who are using the brokers, who learn how to use at least 3 different brokers on ZTF or some other stream or something? Should we have such a really concrete goal, or is that, anyway, that's just one idea I wanted to throw out there about that. And then this isn't the question, but I think another concrete goal could be, let's demonstrate brokers using each other or exchanging a data file format or using each other's database, or one of the things that we've been sort of talking about. I think that would make for an interesting workshop.
I'd hope that 10 new users was like something that we could do on a few weeks rather than 6-month time scale. I completely agree on the working together and testing broker capabilities. So again, this plastic V2 stuff is not happening just in an isolation. It's part of an entire desk project to test the broker ecosystem. And the key part here is we will be issuing not flat light curve files, but an actual alert stream. Brokers will be running classification algorithms that are publicly available, and we will receive streams that brokers have classified, actually measure their performance in real time. That's a huge effort. We need more people to get involved. So in 6 months, we hope to have a data set ready and actually have the infrastructure to send and receive alerts. Having buy-in from the broker teams on that timescale and cooperation with them would be critical, but also with people from the community who are building models for different time domain classes. That's all. We don't have the expertise in plastic to build every class of time domain object there is. So any help you can provide there, really, really valuable. And then in 6 months, my hope is that it gives us a gold standard training set that we can stick up on Zenodo/TensorFlow.
Yes,
So
something else
maybe
we-
that's a goal.
Go ahead. Okay, no, yeah, something else I want to mention is the example of the dark energy science collaboration that Golan just mentioned, that there is a working group that is working together with brokers in order to think about these questions. So perhaps we should also aim for having similar groups in other science collaborations.
Yes, I think that's an encouragement, but we cannot force science collaborations to do that. But I think a lot of questions that were raised here don't have very clear answers. So maybe that's a motivation that we should look forward to.
Can I comment something on that? So I think maybe other science collaborations are not very interested in brokers because most of them seems to be very interested just in supernovae or transient like sources. So maybe if brokers also consider other classes, maybe the science collaborations will be open to collaborate with them.
To answer
That's a
Gotham a
good
little bit,
point,
maybe build
Gavin.
on what Paula was saying. My 10 new users was not 10 people who could just sign up for Antares tomorrow. It was 10 people who have not yet been paying attention. And ideally, exactly trying to reach out across science collaborations who are not attended. Getting 10 desk members who care about supernova cosmology was not my goal. It was exactly trying to get some different users than we traditionally do. And that wouldn't be that we'd call them up the first day and see if we can find anyone. It would be part of a plan that we'd start working on this in a few months and would prepare materials for that. That was my fuller concept, just to answer Gotham's totally valid of like, we have existing brokers, people could sign up tomorrow question.
So we have good engagement from desk, we have good engagement from TDS, right? And that is kind of where we petered out. I don't quite understand why AGN has not worked more with us, particularly with improving the models. And strong lensing, I understand because we've been doing catalog data thus far rather than pixel level data. So that's reasonable. We are thinking in desk about how to do more complex simulations that actually involve pixel level data. So strong lenses in images, which have things like supernova F-style analogs. That's not going to be part of plastic version 2. That's an even more complicated problem. We have a difference imaging analysis topical team that Bruno leads and Michael Student Shu is part of, and they've been doing a lot of great work to get us to this point. So if you're interested in even longer term stuff, Desk is worried about all of these things, and we've been really active in like trying to plan for this to get us to first light with LSST. And please come talk to us if you're from another science collaboration and don't know where to jump in. We can figure out things like intercollaboration agreements or whatever and get stuff done. In fact, Plastic and Respect were both the result of ICAs with Desk, and they've both been really successful projects.
Yeah, I guess the summary is that the benchmark that we have right now looking for in 6 months is the Plastic 2 data set. Are there other benchmarks that you think are worth to be pushed in the next year, or that's enough? I think it's a lot of effort to get Plastic 2 already. So I will vote for that one. But is there something that we're missing in the community, like the thumbnails? I'm sure Francis is gonna talk about thumbnails now.
No, I was going to say perhaps, for example, something I mentioned the other day that the informatics and statistics science collaboration could lead the benchmarks on machine learning, for example, so that it's not it's seen as something external to the brokers. Just an idea. Actually, I have collected some of the ideas, and I can make a poll just to see the interest in the different ones, the different ideas.
Yeah, I think a good way to go would be to do a survey post this workshop to make the next workshop useful, because maybe you want more talks or less talks or more tutorials or more discussion sessions. So maybe we should construct that and send it around. Would you be willing to answer this? Because polls usually end up in a dead end. So
Just adding a comment on what Galton said about plastic and your question about if there are other benchmarks in there. I do think that if we know about other sources, we should try to make an effort to put them in plastic version 2, because we already have a full infrastructure that is working on that. And I think for the 6 months timeline, it would be a little bit difficult to combine different things if we are thinking about working in one alert in one format of alert stream anyway. So I would deeply encourage people who know about other possibilities that you would like to see inside of a test set, a data set like that, to add those models to plastic version 2.
Okay, somebody else with some thoughts on this?
There are comments in the chat.
Oh, sorry, I'm not reading the chat. There is some comments saying the ISTC benchmarking sounds like a great idea. And then Alex led the plastic benchmarking and did a great job, but we were limited by CAGO to one metric, and we don't need to be. I think that's a good point, because brokers won't evaluate under one metric, nor the science collaborations wants one metric for the science. So definitely that. Is there somebody from the ISCC here?
Yeah, me.
Yes, yeah. There are a couple of us, and I emailed yesterday to Tom and Chad about the
Yeah, I'm
comment.
here.
Tom's on, yes.
I
Good,
just typed something in chat in response to Alex. So I might as well say it out loud. So I love the idea of ISSC, of the Informatics and Statistics Science Collaboration, having a role in this. The issue is that we've just continually had problems getting people engaged, especially the members outside astronomy, largely because of the same problem that arises in almost all the SCs other than desk, that there not being any kind of tangible resources in terms of compensation for people's efforts or students that we could divert to these projects. I think it's certainly worth a try, and there's certainly expertise there, so we will do what we can, but it's a different situation than desk. Let's put it that way. And it's come up, it's come up in all kinds of settings for all of the SCs.
Isn't that different though? I mean, certainly nobody was paying Alex Miles or me to do any work on plastic version 1. We did it because we wanted to write papers, and that was the compensation that was useful when we were applying for postdocs and faculty jobs. I don't see that as having changed. There's no payment for this work. You do it because it's useful work and you need to do it before LSST turns on. We had some funding to do from LSST Corporation for meetings, but that was it. The prize money was put up by Kaggle.
Right. Well, DOE is funding a lot of desk activity. So some of the people providing, computational resources for desk are definitely being funded. Let's put it that way. And then, I'm talking about drawing in people that aren't astronomers. You have to somehow lure them. I don't know. I think there's a cultural difference that's not appreciated. Like, if we go to a AAS meeting and attend, the workshops beforehand with tutorials or whatever, none of us presenting those things typically gets paid. That's not the way things operate in most other disciplines. Like, if you go to the JSM meeting and attend a tutorial, those people are getting compensated significantly for their effort. And a lot of them won't require that for working with us, but it's just a different culture than the way we work. So what I'm saying is I'm not in a position to commit that ISSC is going to solve this problem. What I'm saying is we will bring it up and we will do our best to find a way to contribute, but it's not a trivial thing to accomplish. And it's, I mean, just empirically, every SC except desk and maybe TVS is having problems getting people to commit time. And Fed in particular has worked with trying to drum up compensation for people in from different channels to try to address this. If you're a young postdoc funded on somebody's grant, maybe you don't see the issues, but if you're a soft money person like me or Matthew or Ashish, our time, the money for it has to come from somewhere. We have to write effort reports at the end of the year saying we spent particular efforts on particular grants solving particular problems. You know, Matthew and I are writing a proposal working on classification stuff relevant to brokers, but you know, we don't know if it'll be funded, right? We can't commit to doing that work right now. So, so there are diverse constraints on people. That's what I'm saying.
I agree, but I think this puts us in a catch-22 situation where, you know, the work has to happen to get something like plastic version 2 off the ground.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And we've had endless back and forth with NSF about this. Like, you want all this to happen, but you're making no commitment of resources to make sure that it happens. We'll do our best to make these things happen, but if you're just relying on the largesse of people, you have to temper expectations.
I am sorry to cut you off. I know it's a complicated situation and not one that we can easily solve in 2 minutes.
That's right.
I think we're on the hour, so I think other people have stuff to do. I wanted to conclude thanking everybody that has been here. Thank you very much for participating in the discussions, speaking, moderating, etc. Thanks to my fellow organizers because they have been doing a lot of work behind the scenes that we haven't seen. And the last thing is, remember, this is the first part of a workshop. What we are thinking is to do a really quick survey to figure out what we do in the next one. Please answer it. I know it's tough. Everybody's saturated with surveys. We will do as smallest and painless that we can do. And it will be in your hands soon. If you have any comments, we're more than happy to hear from you. So thank you very much. Congratulations for everything.
Thank you. Good job.
The organization, this has been great. Can you just remind our speakers where to put our talks? Stick something in the Slack.
Yes, sure.
Perfect. Cheers. Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
See you in 6 months.
In 6 months.
Very nicely done.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.